Welcome to Roll on the Adventure, the podcast where we make, break, and revise role-playing games for your entertainment. And now, the intro.
Roll on the adventure. Roll on the adventure. Roll on the adventure.
Roll on the adventure.
There was a distinct lack of Maggie saying anything until that point.
Actually, I like how that one turned out. I think that's my favorite so far. That was more percussive than melodic, and I really liked that. That was quite good.
Fair enough. Well, so today we are going to be doing the second test play of the new system we have come up with, Frontiers of Time, where this time we're doing the adventure I have made up, known as The Frontiers of Time to Boldly Go. But before we do that, so does anyone have any rules revisions they would like to discuss from the last game?
I certainly do.
All right, would you like to go through what you think you'd like to change?
So, in tabletop RPGs, often when there's circumstances where you might roll anyway, and then I, as a GM, go like, actually, no, you just do that. That's just a thing you can easily do. And I figured that in playing this, I would feel the same. But actually, it kind of turned out that the times where I would want you to roll because failure would be interesting, you had like a skill of 2, so it was very difficult to make you roll unless I artificially heightened the difficulty. So I propose that no matter what, you always roll 1 glitch die just as a baseline, and then there's additional difficulty layered on top. Because this seems like a game where failing like 1/3 of the time isn't a big deal.
Yeah. I think that would be an interesting mechanic to try for this one.
Especially since, as far as rules is written, 1 glitch is a partial success. So
it doesn't have to be a failure.
It is a partial success. It can be a success, but which I am perfectly fine with running with. At least we can try it for this game and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then we don't have to worry about it so much.
Although at the very maybe it's just me being lazy and not wanting to draw lines in the sand of what action is what difficulty, because like, man, I can't enforce that. I am nowhere near strict enough as a GM to properly enforce that. Other people are probably able to, but not me.
I mean, I'm fine to try it for this one because we have sort of established that the glitch die are meant to be there for more challenging tasks. So, like, even a 1 glitch dice is like trying to fire at an object moving incredibly fast is kind of what we've gone with. Whereas, like, glitch dice 5 is trying to fire at something from orbit.
The problem there is that it means that in a reasonably difficult situation, nothing crazy massive, the person with 0 shooting die is as good as the person with 2, which is I kind of get, but I kind of think that the whole idea that something is just a regular task for you because you're that badass is kind of nice.
I think it's one of those things because like the numbers are very good at having an how to put it, easy to understand informed level of your ability, and that has often influenced my decisions on how difficult it would be for you.
That's a good point.
Yeah, sometimes I just want to see if there's a chance of you failing regardless of how good you are. But yeah, that's just me liking that bit of chaos. But
no, I get it.
And to be fair, it is balanced out in some way by the fact we've done the inverse of what most D6 systems tend to do, where success is, a 1/3 chance, whereas this one is like a failure is 2/3 chance.
Well, a success is 2/3 chance.
Oh, sorry, yeah, a success is 2/3 chance and a failure is a 1/3.
Yeah.
So it's not as difficult. I don't know.
If you're on that 1 die, then consequences are still fine. I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it does put a burden on the DM to give you a circumstance where you succeed, but you somehow fail. And I can see that being quite a bit of an issue.
I don't know if it's as big an issue as just having to come up with really hard challenges for players. So
yeah. But also you can't really decide what the players are going to do. Like I'm not exactly sure how much you thought I was just going to convince Rhodes in the last one to just have a go in a dancing competition.
Yeah, I think that kind of hashed out by looking at your stat of 2 and your informed thing of like, oh yeah, I'm usually the face of the team, to use kind of tabletop parlance, and be like, yeah, you don't need to roll, you're good. But with somebody with like 1 or was it 0 tooting for the other character, I'm like, well, no, even though this would technically be like the same difficulty for both of you, I'm going to make you roll because it would be funny to see what happens when you fail. I don't know.
Yeah, with Manhattan, yeah.
Is there anything else that anybody else? Because I do have a second thing, but let me not go twice in a row.
Okay, so yes, with the adjectives, I do wonder if we should have the option to maybe spin your
spin the chamber.
Yeah, maybe not preload, so that there is at least some sort of randomness / you have to really think about applying the words. But just in case someone's stuck, they should get maybe 1 spin.
Yeah.
If they're stuck, it's their fault. They chose those things, and if it's in a later round, they chose them knowing what's happening. I personally wouldn't. I
would say, because this reminds me of one of the small issues we had in the last play, where at one point, I think it was your character, Purple, who had to find just a thing to fire something at so they could fire the useful bullet. And we were like, where can we fire it that is not going to cause a massive issue? Part of that is the fun of the game, because the failure of the Rustlers, the Wranglers?
Rustlers, I think.
Rustlers, Wranglers, one of them too. The failure of the PCs partially comes from if someone dies, like what happened with Sheila, then obviously you choose to reset because the event has come to pass. Another one is, if you decide these bullets didn't work, let's reset. I think removing that condition for wanting to reset kind of just gets rid of one of the main elements of the game, which is planning and sort of going into it with this very, let's do everything and fail at least once and then do it and do it better.
I mean, the other option would be to make that the replacement for Ace in the Hole, because we didn't tend to get very low on bullets.
That's
true.
I don't know if that would be the case in a longer game.
I mean, yeah, so obviously we only did like basically a 2-hour game was what we did. And we didn't run very long bullets because, in the end we found out the way to get through it. In a longer version game, I think we could just have optional rules. Like I've always said in every arc we've done, that optional rules can exist for longer term play. We're only really building this for what we want to do. So I would say
instead of Ace in the Hole,
I would say in an ideal world, in the ideal version of the game, you would have optional rules where it's like either one or the other. So either you have Ace in the Hole, which is all bullets go, you then get a random bullet as your like final shot, or spin the chamber, which would be get a random bullet of any of the ones you have. I would say in this game, let's do spin the chamber, because that sounds more interesting.
Sure. And it means you can use it at any time rather than when you're at your limit for short-term games. I get you. That makes sense to me. And
I think in the rules as written, you would just have it as choose one. Or possibly choose both if you want to be incredibly chaotic. So, Purple, did you have anything else you wanted to change about the game?
No, I quite liked how things worked. Mostly. I still get stuck on those 1s and 2s on glitch dice, but I think
that makes sense to me. Eyes. Yeah. It's rolling low in the same way that if this was a larger sized die, rolling low on a D20 would constitute like failure in other games. So it makes sense to me that rolling low on a D6 also. I think in Shadowrun 5th, like the main line, not Anarchy, rolling ones in general counts as glitches, and you count how many glitches you get. So that it makes sense to me that way around. But
yeah. I think there was just a tiny bit of confusion in the game, but that was, I think, swiftly dealt with once we explained that was how we were doing it.
for me, it's like they're enemy dice, but the player's rolling them. If you get me.
I guess, yeah.
Instead of the GM making a roll to see how bad they screw up, the player is rolling them.
Mhm.
So in my head, they're always successes for the chaos.
Well, it's very
Mhm.
similar to Powered by the Apocalypse, which does that. Basically the players always roll their own dice and basically, in a sense, create their own consequences because the DM never rolls anything. So I guess with that sort of thing out of the way, you said you had one final one, I believe?
Yeah. So it was a thing that I put on an impulse partway through. I didn't plan for it, but actually I kind of liked it. I like the fact if the enemy time rustlers have adjective guns too, even if there is just a single list of 6 that applies to all time rustlers just for ease of build, the ability for them when pushed to the limit to just fire a random word possibly at a person and see what happens was really funny.
I think that would definitely be something interesting because, like you said, it did come up in the last game where one of the rustlers basically ended up firing teleporting, and that was quite cool. For this
that
game,
was purple.
yeah.
Yeah, they fired floppy at purple and just as a parting nya shot. But even to part the curtain again briefly, the Ferris wheel breaking in the timeline, that was just because the Ferris wheel was garbage. But then thinking about it when you all responded oh, time rustlers, I'm like, actually, yeah, Time Rustler did do that. And so how would they do that? Well, if they had a gun that could fire Rusty at something, then yeah. So yeah, that just manifested naturally out of the proceedings.
I think that could be something we could discuss because we talked about it just a bit before we started recording about that. And because obviously it's not written in the rules, there is no firm way to do this just yet. I like the idea that the rustlers are completely random, but they have more abilities than you. So each one of you, as last time, created 7 words which are in the adjective table. And as opposed to you guys who have your 6, which you order and fire as per the last game, the rustlers will have all the bullets. They'll have every single bullet that you've created as an adjective, but they roll completely randomly. So they can never choose.
Okay, yeah.
But that also means they can have the same abilities as you. And I think that just is a fun way to do it because I don't see why that would change the balance too much because in the end, the rustlers are always... They're not the kind of bad guys who come up to you and, will fight you directly most of the time. They'll go for the environment.
That's kind of, that's very much where I was going when I kind of...
Because they are, faceless.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine for them to have those abilities and, just not use them against you unless they have to.
That will make sense to me.
Cool.
All right. So...
I think that's the least changes we've done so far on a game.
I think so.
That just means we did it right the first time, man.
Yeah, I would say out of all the arcs I've been involved in, this was actually the most well built.
Oh, right. I'm not debating. It has gone very well. Anyway, enough self-congratulation. Shall we get cracking?
All right, so I have my little bit to read out on the front as well. Actually, before we do this, I think I just forgot. So in the last game, in the rules as written, there is something called the Scorpion, which is basically the traitor of the game, which is randomly assigned. So there is a random number generated, in this case, from 1 to 4. So there is actually a case where none of you are the traitor. But I don't know, because I wasn't the one that assigned it. One of you did, so me as the DM has absolutely no idea who the traitor is in this game. The aim of the Scorpion is to mess up the other guys' plan to the point where the entire timeline collapses. In other words, there are 3 resets. Or technically 6. I'm going to say 3 for purposes of game. And if they do, they raise their hand and say, I'm the traitor, and they have succeeded. If, however, the game is partially or fully succeeded, they must raise their hand and say, I'm the traitor, in which case they have lost their true objective.
That's not how it's written.
Oh, okay. How is it done?
The way I phrased it, and again we can debate this if we want, is that the idea is that the Scorpion wins. They have a second victory condition, basically.
Oh, right. So it's even if you win.
Well, you did all right. You don't get your special victory if the party win. The way you get your super special awesome victory is if the party fail and they can't identify who caused it.
Oh, okay, right. So yeah, werewolf rules basically.
Kind of.
This is increasingly like Danganronpa with the idea of shooting words out of guns and somebody being the blackened and everybody having to agree who it is.
I mean, that was basically like part of the main inspiration for this game. And I'm so happy it's a thing. But yeah, okay. So we'll do it that way. If you guys lose, I will say, okay, everyone, guess who the traitor is? And we'll do a 3-2-1 vote version where I'm not exactly sure. We'll talk about it if that happens, and I'll say how it works.
Okay.
But in that case, if you say who the Scorpion is and you are correct, then the Scorpion also loses.
Yeah, basically.
If, however, you miss, then they win, and they're the only one that wins. In a case where everyone wins, you can try and guess the Scorpion again, and if you guess correctly, the Scorpion truly loses.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So, I believe that is the only thing. There is also your words. Do you guys want to go through the words you have, or do you want them to remain secret?
No. I'll talk about my bullets in the order because it's interesting for the people at home.
All right.
For those who don't want to hear, I guess you can deafen yourselves because this is the magic of Discord. So my bullets are teleporting, clumsy, creative, confusing, attached, and duplicitous.
Ooh.
All right. What are yours, Purple?
I have, in no particular order, overachieving, rusty, digital, infectious, windy, and friendly.
All right. And Maggie?
My bullets, in no particular order, are rolling, as in they see me, sacred, inverted, meh, which is of course the best one, and malfunctioning.
I'm looking forward to meh.
Yes, we for some reason put meh in there, which I have no idea how that's going to turn out.
I mean, it just gains the properties of meh.
It'll turn out all right, I suppose.
With all of that out of the way, I will now actually start.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. Space, the final frontier. Out here, you can see a black, empty nothingness for what seems like an infinity around you. All sound is sucked out into the vacuum, and you feel cold even through the many layers of your spacesuits. Dust kicks up as you move your feet, and you feel almost completely weightless in this new environment. The only dash of color in this new environment is a blue sphere that hovers in your field of vision, which catches the silhouette of a space shuttle heading towards you. The date is July 20th, 1969, and you're the first men on the moon.
What?
So yes, for any of our listeners who don't know anything about space history, this is the mission of Apollo 11, the first manned moon landing.
Okay, so what? We are the crew.
You're on the moon.
Oh, right.
You're on the moon watching as this thing is coming down or is like floating around in orbit above you. You're all in spacesuits, but so you're not instantly dying.
Is my cowboy hat still on top of the bubble helmet?
Oh, definitely. It's like either inside the bubble, like pressed into the sides, or it's on top of it and somehow remains on no matter what you do.
The latter.
It's super glued. But yes, do people want to describe who their characters are and what their rooting, tooting, and shooting stats are?
I would. I am Miriam McFarland. I am one of those chrono vagabonds that gets mentioned in the text. I owed the time sheriff a favor for looking the other way on on some Gemini charges, so I got drafted into the posse. Didn't really have much choice. And I'm a historian. I'm used to like digging around, finding interesting facts and nuggets of strange histories. So my routing is 2. My tooting is 1. And unfortunately, these 6-shot timepieces ain't my normal sort of deal. But what I usually carry, the time sheriff doesn't like me taking on the missions because it causes irreparable damage to the time stream. So my shooting for purpose of this is 0.
Okay, so that's quite a lot more detail than your last character. Right, so next up, Nathan, who's your shooter?
Well, it's a pleasure to meet all of you. My name is Cecil Navarro, but my lovers call me Raven. I don't have as much of a detailed backstory as the person preceding, but I am incredibly rich, incredibly fashionable, and also incredibly loud when I need to be. So my tooting is 2. However, my shooting is 1, and my routing is 0. I'm not particularly good at quiet work.
All right. And finally, Maggie, who's your shooter?
I'm Melissa James, and I keep telling you I was looking for the toilet. I don't know how I got here, but it seems like you won't believe me, and so I just have to do the job and hope I can go home afterwards. Despite the fact that I couldn't actually talk my way out of joining, my tooting is still somehow 2, my shooting is 1, and my routing is 0. Maybe that's why I path to the bathroom.
So two of you are very similar, which is fair enough.
Am I the only router?
You are the only router by a good country mile.
Yeah.
Yes. So, you are all on the moon's surface. You all have spacesuits, as I previously said. And as you appear, it's not really been stated how how you guys appear and wherever you are. Like, I imagine you just get kicked out of a portal. But
yeah, that sounds about right.
As you look around, one of the things you see is floating around in this very almost weightless environment. There is a typewriter.
Yes, it's canon.
It is canon. I did like the idea of it. And it types out a message. And it's a lot shorter than the message from the previous mission. This one simply says, "Prevent a disaster on July 21st.
Oh. And it's currently July 21st is today, right?
Yes. So today is July 20th, technically, but it's toward the late evening.
Oh.
It's like 1700 hours.
So the problem may strike at midnight. How mysterious.
And the first thing you notice as you look above you at this shuttle that's coming towards you is that one part of it has ejected itself from the other. And while one of them is staying in space, the other one is coming towards you.
Yeah, that's supposed to happen.
Yep, that is indeed supposed to happen.
I've got routing of 2, and I'm a historian as my tags, so I'm going to know that.
Okay, because you have a routing of 2 and you are a historian, I'm going to say you actually know what these things are. You know the one that's coming towards you, which is a kind of conical shape with like landing gear stretching out of it, is the Eagle module, which currently houses the 2 astronauts, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Meanwhile, the one that is left in space and is now basically going along the orbit of the moon is the Columbia module, which houses Michael Collins. And that is what you know about this.
Not to be confused with Phil Collins.
No, Michael Collins. And Neil Armstrong, not to be confused with Louis Armstrong. But
that was
yes.
a mess up in the time stream, wasn't it?
We solved that one, but I guess this is another problem in this particular timeline that we should solve.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, Cecil.
And you too. Although, if it's heading straight for us, Shouldn't we maybe get out of the way? I'm not particularly looking to get squashed alive this evening.
Suppose so.
All right. So, just to like briefly describe where you are, you're in an area where there are a bunch of random craters. I'm gonna say that Miriam, because you're a historian, you know that you're in the Sea of Tranquility, the landing site of the Eagle module. You also can hear chatter within your suit, and you quickly recognize it as the talkings of Houston. And while you can't exactly make out everything they're saying because of the static, you can hear that the Eagle module is off course. And in fact, you can see it's off course because instead of firing, it fires towards you for a little bit, but then starts to go towards the right quite rapidly.
No. Well, that's absolutely no good.
What do you do?
Does anybody want to shoot this eagle down?
No, my
I'm
fuzz
unfriendly.
functioning, so that wouldn't help.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's be bold with our first shot, shall we? And Cecil twirls out the gun, aims, like gets on one knee and aims a shot at the slowly drifting off shuttle and fires, teleporting at it.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm going to say because you're firing at this thing which is literally in freaking orbit, that's going to be a glitch dice 4.
Yes, let's go.
And because of your shooting, that would become a glitch dice 3. So roll me 3d6, please.
So wait, is it the lander or the orbiter that you're shooting?
I'm shooting the thing that's going off course, and I assume it's the one with people inside. I don't know what spacecraft is.
It's the Eagle. Yeah, you're shooting the lander. The lander.
Well, I got a 4, a 3, and unfortunately a 1. So I suppose it's a bit of a partial success.
Okay, so partial success. So you do actually manage to hit the landing module, and at 1 second it's drifting off to the right, and in the next second it is now a lot closer to the ground and has gotten there a lot quicker than it ever should have. So while it doesn't go off course, it is now much, much closer to you and coming down fast.
I would say let's run away, lads.
So yeah, I am going to shoot the ground beneath it to make it nice and welcoming. It's going to be friendly, gentle.
All right. I'm going to say partially because of the stretch in what you're doing, and also because you are...
Isn't this exactly what we designed these things for?
I mean, I'm going to say it's a bit of a stretch.
Okay.
I guess in these circumstances, the success level is how accurately to what you intend happens.
Yeah. It's like when I did acidic in the last game, but yes. And because you're firing at this very rapidly descending spacecraft.
No, I'm not. I'm firing at the ground.
Yeah, but you're still like trying to fire at something that isn't exactly known where it's going to land, because it does have its own propellant. I'm going to say that would be a glitch dice 3. And I believe you have 0 shooting, so roll me 3d6.
3? I'm shooting a stationary target.
Yeah, it'd be better if you had some shooting.
Well, I got 4-4-3, so...
4-for-3, yep. That is a success. You shoot the ground, and the ground is mostly dust anyway, so it's not exactly the hardest thing. But as you shoot it, like, dust starts to billow, and essentially creates a miniature tornado kind of thing. Where Moonado. And the landing module, as it comes down towards you guys, it gets caught in this, and it doesn't fall into you. And it also doesn't fall and just break apart. Instead, it lands securely on the ground.
Right, let's make ourselves scarce.
Oh, Cecil was already running away a full minute ago.
Yeah.
I'll say let's make ourselves scarce and realise I'm the only one still there.
Yeah,
there is a dust cloud shape of Cecil, and they are already gone.
There is a moon dust shape of both of your compatriots, and there's also 3 conveniently shaped moon boulders off to the side. So, yep, everyone can hide if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say you guys just get behind this cover just as the portal to this landing module opens. And through your internal speakers, you can hear the sounds of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin being incredibly confused as to how they got here so fast.
Mm-hmm.
As long as he does the speech, it'll all be fine.
Yeah, you can just hear them going, "What? How did that happen? I thought we were off course." Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. We're on the ground at least, and we actually landed on the landing site, which is a far sight better than we thought it would be. And they do a bit of chatter, and then eventually Neil Armstrong goes down the small 9-step ladder and goes off, and he delivers his all-time famous phrase, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," as he steps down onto the moon's surface.
Mm-hmm.
Followed quickly behind by Buzz Aldrin. And these two are now walking around with cameras and various bits of equipment and like baggies as they are going around collecting moon dust and moon rocks.
Mm-hmm. Cecil turns to the other members of the team and is like, "This seems like a good place to save state."
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Okay, you have safe stated. So this thing is now landed.
We need to put that in the rules.
Yeah, we will put down the rules, but you have now safe stated. So this always happens regardless. You'll start from this point.
Mm-hmm.
If we start back from here, do we get back up to 4 bullets?
Whenever there is a reset, you unload and re-equip. So this, instead of appearing and the shuttle coming in, we just start here instead, but we still back up to 6.
Yeah, so the stuff that happens has happened, but you will get new bullets is what will happen. Okay, so what do you guys want to do?
Okay, I think one of us should keep an eye on each of them, and one of them should keep an eye on the module.
That seems reasonable.
Yes.
I wonder how they'd feel about running into other people already here.
I mean, don't let them run into you.
Right. Okay. Worst comes to worst, just putting it out there as a, what we say if they do run out to us. We're Soviets. I'm just saying that's the only reasonable explanation. Try not to let it come to that, but if it does, we are from Soviet Russia.
I think a better plan would be to say that we're aliens, because no one will believe us. And the government...
Cecil looks increasingly concerned, but doesn't say anything.
The government would cover it up anyway.
Okay,
I mean, they already do, with all the other sightings.
I'm a time traveler, and even I'm calling bullshit on that.
I mean, I've used the alien excuse more than once.
I think that we're trying not to mess too much with history, and at least Soviets is plausible to what we know about this timeline.
I think I will find this funny if you guys try and discuss this when and if they find you, as opposed to now.
In advance,
Right.
yeah.
Is this not all in character? I've been treating it like it is.
I've been having this conversation in character because I have a very distinct character voice when I do so.
Yeah, I think you guys have been arguing, but I think
I assume time has passed.
Yes, time is definitely passing. You have the feeling that stuff is moving along. You can see that the Columbia module, the orbiting module, I'll call it for ease of use, has left your sight and has actually gone past the horizon and is now making its first orbit around the planet.
Well, there's nothing possibly that could go wrong with that. Let me go follow that strapping Aldrin character.
Okay, so Cecil, you're going to be following Aldrin? What are the other two going to be doing?
Are you going to be following after Armstrong, or shall I? I mean, you've got more tooting than me, so you're less likely to cock this up.
Yeah, that's probably for the best, and I don't have any routing, so you should probably stay with the module.
Cool.
Okay, so let's go first to. So I think Cecil was going after Aldrin. Who was going
That's
after
right.
Armstrong?
Me.
Okay, so let's go for you two because they are fairly close together.
Okay.
And like one of them is doing, double foot hops across the surface, while the other one is, you can hear over the chatter, basically admonishing him for doing that and raising his heat. And they are not really looking at you, but you have an idea that if you are too obvious in what you're doing, they will just turn around and find you. Do you want to try and do anything with them, or are you just going to follow?
I am absolutely going to shadow them. I think, point of order, Cecil somehow has high heel moon boots, and their footprints are obviously distinct from regular footprints. So he's trying his very best to kind of stand in the footprints that are already there.
Okay. I'm going to say roll me 1 glitch dice to see if they just don't notice you.
I have a root of 0, so I have no way to mitigate that. That's fine.
Should I? I'm walking with
Oh
you.
no!
Okay, so I'm guessing that was a...
That was a 1.
Okay.
Should I? Sorry, should I roll this too? Because I'm assumedly walking in step.
Yeah, so I was going to get back to you. Yeah, so could you... I'm presuming you're also doing the same thing as Cecil. In which case, then, yeah, roll me 1 glitch dice, and I will deal with both of your things at the same time.
Rolled a 5.
Okay, so, yeah. Melissa, you are completely fine. You are not spotted. You managed to hop from conveniently shaped boulder to conveniently shaped boulder. And you managed to kick up bits of dust, so you are not seen. This is partially helped by the fact that Cecil, you aren't seen necessarily. So they don't just turn around and be like, Moon Man. Instead, you manage just barely to jump behind a conveniently shaped boulder. Let's try saying that like 10 times fast. But as you do, Armstrong and Aldrin both see they see a kick up of dust that looks entirely unnatural. And they come over with a camera and they take a picture. And I don't know if you guys ever seen like the famous picture of the footprint in the ground. There's that footprint, but now there's like a heel print in it as well. And they are just incredibly confused as they are talking over the chatter. It's like, neither of us are wearing heels, right? And they both look at their feet and they are wearing like, very heavy working boots. And they get confused and they start to go back towards the landing module. Meanwhile, for Miriam, so have you just been keeping eyes on the modules, what you've been doing?
Okay, so I'm going to slowly sneak around to the blind spot on the module at the back, where there's no
Windows.
I'm going to sort of sneak up and I'm going to be checking the module using my routing to see if there's been any sabotage, any strange goings on.
Okay. I'm going to say that would be a routing. Well, I'd say in this case, I say you can just do it. It doesn't seem very difficult to me to do, especially with your routing of 2.
And failing's not particularly fun. So.
No, I don't think failing is fun in this condition. So you just, your friends, with the distraction they have been causing, you are able to sneak around the back of the landing module, and you root around to see if anything is broken. You can't see anything obviously broken. It looks a bit more shaken up than usual, because you guys have teleported it down much more rapidly than it should have. But otherwise, it looks fairly normal. You do notice, however, you think you see something moving inside.
That ain't supposed to be there.
Indeed. What do you do?
Oh, I'm getting in.
All right. I'm going to say for dramatic effect, you are doing this just about as the footprint has been found. So Armstrong and Aldrin are coming towards you. And as you walk into this module, it's not the biggest thing in the world, and it's strewn around with a lot of scientific equipment. There's a couple of like air canisters and a couple of random other objects and items. In there, you can see in a spacesuit, remarkably similar to your own, a figure wearing a domino mask, and he is pointing a gun at you, and he fires.
Woohoo.
I mean, can I slow them down by shooting their spacesuit with Rusty?
You can definitely try, and that will make their thing more difficult.
I mean, they're probably still going to hit me.
Yeah.
The shooting's not very good, but maybe I can not be overly done by it.
I would say, because this is you like doing a quick draw situation.
At least 2, maybe 3.
I would say make it a shooting 2, and you don't have any shooting, so roll me 2d6.
Okay. Oh, I got a 6 and a 2.
Oh,
Partial success.
Partial success.
Or at least, well, it could be a complete success and a complication. It could be a complete and utter clusterfuck, to be honest. That's how glitches go.
Yep. I'm going to say I like the idea of this being partial success because it's more fun.
Okay.
You do shoot their suit with Rusty, and you can see from the impact point where I guess the word hit, because we never really said there were bullets. You can see rust is just starting to form out of it, and the guy inside the suit is just completely. He looks scared, sort of, but you are also hit with his bullet. And you are sent out of the portal of this place, and you are rolling. You have absolutely no control of your flight, as you are just sent out of this thing, and you are now floating in the air.
To not be sick in my helmet.
Yeah, you are just floating around. You have not taken any damage, I guess, but you are just completely confused and rolling around in the air.
Oh, they're airborne. Okay.
Yes, and because this has happened, Aldrin and Armstrong can clearly see you, and they are now bunny hopping towards you.
Okay.
Not
you two can
towards
see
the module which I came from.
Yeah, so Cecil, upon seeing that Aldrin has now noticed one of her, and he's like, oh dear. And they walk up behind Aldrin while they're distracted, just point the gun to the back of their head and shoot Clumsy.
Okay, you're shooting Clumsy at one of these two.
Yeah, at Aldrin, see if he can just suddenly stack and fall to the floor and not see this thing going on.
I'll give you a choice here. Do you want to try and shoot them both, which will make the roll a bit more difficult?
Let's try and shoot them both.
Okay. So I'm going to say if you were shooting one of them, that would have been 1 glitch dice. In this case, it will be 2, but because you have a shooting of 1, it is 1 glitch dice, so roll.
All right, let's not get snake eyes. It's a 5!
Hey! You shoot this bullet, and it ricochets off one of their helmets, hits the other, and both of them just fall flat on their faces.
Mm-hmm.
No, what happens? They fall on their backs. They like turtle.
Yeah. Those backpacks are weirdly off balance.
Yeah, they did tip backwards when they jumped in them. So they just turtle, and they are now trying to roll to get up, but it does give you a bit of time if you want to do anything. So Melissa,
grab them.
What are you gonna do?
Rustler in the module.
Stop, because remind me, where did we land on the the spinning the bullet thing?
I'm going to say once per reset, you can spin, and you will get a random one of any of the bullets you have.
Okay, because at the moment my first one is malfunctioning, and I'm struggling to think of a use for that.
You can make their suit malfunction.
Yeah, but I thought of that, but I'm worried that I might make them suffocate, because they kind of need their suits to live. It doesn't feel... I
mean, they're a faceless entity. You don't know exactly how they live or not, so...
On the plus side, we do have resets for this reason. Yeah, I'm going to shoot them with malfunctioning.
Okay, so you run into the module, which is fine because everyone else is distracted. You see this person in a completely rusted up suit, and you can see this hole starting to form in it as the rust is peeling away. and he is trying to find tape to cover these holes.
Oh, shooting the bad guy. I thought I'd be shooting the people we're trying to protect. No, that's fine. 3.
Okay. That is a
if you
3.
get his timepiece, that'd be amazing.
You shoot him. Are you aiming for his timepieces? Because I'm going to presume you're aiming for his suit.
I'll aim for his timepiece.
Okay, you're aiming for his timepiece. I'm going to say you got a 3, so yeah, that is a success. You hit the timepiece, and his timepiece just kind of miniature explodes. Like the weird sort of space explosion where there's no real fire, but it just breaks apart. And his timepiece is completely out of action. And he looks at you, and you think he's growling, though you can't hear him. And he comes towards you with fisticuffs.
Okay. I shall have to. I'm going to hit him with meh.
Okay, was May your next bullet? I'm like, okay. I'm going to say you don't even have to roll for this because he's coming right towards you. You shoot him with meh, and he comes towards you like he's completely enraged, but in the next second, he just sort of, he like taps your helmet with his hand, and then sort of shrugs and sits down.
Oh, sorry, I miscalculated. There's been a problem with my Word document, which I'm using this. Oh, fuck, I've lost. It was rolling. I was shooting with rolling.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to reconsider this and basically have the same result happen. You shoot him, he does look enraged. You send him rolling, and because you're in the portal and so he can't be hit out of it like your friend was, he just rolls into the tops of the rafters of this landing module, and he kind of just gets stuck there as one of his like hands gets stuck in a ladder, and he just can't move.
He partially clips into the geometry. Oh no.
Yeah, he is now stuck up there and is effectively out of action unless he tries to struggle his way out. Meanwhile, Miriam, you are rolling around on the moon. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I've got no good way of stopping myself right now.
Guess you'll just die.
Would you like to leave it in the hands of Cecil to help you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I was going to hope that Melissa would try and rescue Miriam, but I guess I'll do it. And Cecil, like, because we have low gravity, leaps into the air and then does kind of like an overhead bicycle kick to kick Miriam back into the ground again.
Oh my god.
Ow.
Okay. I'm going to say that would have been... Because you're jumping up, you're not shooting anything, you're just jumping.
I'm being wild, so it feels like a tootin', but...
Yeah, it's definitely a tooting roll. I'm going to say you don't have to roll for that because, success sounds fun. Yeah, you basically ride a kick Miriam back to the ground, and she lands hard, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really hurt because it's the moon, but yeah, it does kick up a bunch of dust. And one thing you are now noticing, Cecil, is that because you've done this, you're kind of floating higher up in the air than normal. You're not. You can control your descent. You're not completely weightless, so you do end up coming back down. But you do go quite a lot higher than normal.
That's cool. That's fun.
And one thing you see is that the module, the orbiting module, is coming back around from the other side of the horizon.
Yeah.
Is it closer than last time?
And you, as it comes back, you can hear another voice inside, which you recognize as Collins, saying, "I'm about to turn the coolant system back on."
Ooh, interesting. I have no idea what that means. Let's go and find out what that does.
Okay, and both of you are now back on the ground as he says, "I'm going to turn the thing on." I'm presuming you're going to like update each other on what's happened.
Yes, I suppose we do have general comms to share with each other.
Melissa?
Yep.
How's things on your end?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay, I'm just going to say you update him on, like, the time bandit inside the landing module is incapacitated at the moment. He's not dead, but he's incapacitated. And you update on the situation. You have not been spotted. You can see Armstrong and Aldrin are slowly starting to unturtle themselves by rolling comically around in the ground. And they are getting ready to get back up. Is there anything you guys would like to do?
Hide?
They'd be able to see the guy I've sort of incapacitated.
Not from their position. You're inside the module. They would have to be inside the module to see.
There were 3 people on the moon. One of them is supposed to be in the module.
One of them's in the orbiting module. You're in the landing module.
That makes sense. Okay. So I think I need to figure out a way to get this guy and myself out of the landing module before they come back in. I mean, are they due to come back? I call the others. Hey, do you know how long they're scheduled to be outside for?
I probably will.
Um,
With historian and or at least have an idea.
Yeah, I'm going to say you don't know exactly to the second, but you do know in general.
Yeah.
They're technically out here for 21 and a half hours, but that includes a time when they go back into the module and sleep and then go back to Collins. So technically they're outside of the module for, I'm going to say 5 hours, and I'm going to say you guys have been wandering around doing this for about 2 hours at this point, because time doesn't mean much. But you do know that it is turning from the 20th to the 21st at this point.
They're currently late, are they?
No, in fact, they're currently just on time. Because as the orbiting module flies above your heads and you hear, I'm turning the cooler system back on, you hear a click, a spark, and then an explosion. As the orbiting module explodes in the atmosphere.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, no.
Right then. How are we going to get up there?
And I'm just going to say, because the thing has come to pass, this is a mandatory reset.
Yep.
Okay, reset.
Okay, so you guys reset, and because we have reset, one of the world tags changes and one of them disappears.
So what were the world tags you didn't say previously?
Yes, so the world tags are empty, vacuum, monochromatic, reduced gravity, orbiting, and calm.
All of those change. Any of those changing would be real bad. Great.
Okay, so as this very exciting a ton of events has come around, we will be back in the second half of this episode to see how these guys stop the Columbia module exploding and effectively dooming the first men on the moon. See you guys in a bit.
Ta-ta.
Bye.
Bye.